Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Only the lonely today. We have a couple of people out of the office. We had an activity today with the youth, with the summer youth program. So we got a late jump on today, but I always see I got to make this part of my day, right? Like this is just part of what I do. So it'll just be me today, and luckily I have the gift of gab, and I don't need a whole lot of somebody else getting in my way, and I can I got what it takes to keep talking. So it'll just be me, Barry Boat, here coming live from El Reno, 1950 South Shepherd, in El Ghetto, Helltown, the gut. Here we are, it's what, about 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about I can't see what time it is, but
it's 3:34.
3:34. Wow.
Yeah.
But here we are. I always think it's important that we do this reading. So yeah, I don't mind at all. I don't mind at all. Good morning or good afternoon, Stacy. Thank you for tuning in. But yeah, like I was saying, we helped the summer youth put together some drums. Some of them did an outstanding. They all did an outstanding job. But some of them got real creative and they painted some drums that were already done. So I thought it was important that to me it's always about the exposure, right? It's about the exposure that these kids have to our culture. As we always say around here, the culture is the solution. It kind of helps us stay rooted in who we are and where we come from. So I think it's always important. I think it's always important that it's about the exposure, to just cultural motivated activities. I mean, maybe it's a little girl who can give their niece or their nephew or their little brother a drum. And to me, like I said, it's always about the exposure. You never know what that could lead to. So, I felt, and it ain't like I'm blind as hell. It ain't like I can get up there and just help everybody out. One young individual was like, I said, "Are you going to make a drum?" He's like, "Nah, man, it looks too hard." I was like, "Man, like, I will help you." So, like, that's where my effort went to, was helping the one guy, and I asked him when we got done, "Do you feel like you could do this on your own?" He was like, "Yeah," like, I was like, "Well, that's what it's about, each one teach one." So, but yeah, here we are on Wednesday. Wait, is it Wednesday or Thursday? Thursday. Wow, I just lost a day. Lost the whole day, bro. But here we are on Thursday, payday. Darian's on his vacation. Carmelo is probably just laying at home, but
Hey, getting cracked.
we haven't seen Domingo. I don't even think, does Domingo even work here?
Who is that? Hey.
I know. I don't even, like, just some weirdo keeps popping up in our group chat, commenting like, and it's funny because you can tell he doesn't know what's going on. But he gets to practice his custodial arts at FAM, and I think that's cool. So yeah, that's basically what we've been up to today. Sorry we didn't get on this morning, but tonight we will be having our talking circle here at 1950 South Shepherd at 7 o'clock. You can park in the back of the building and come through the back door. We try to lock the front doors, and
You can't even see it.
what is it?
It's my drum. It's my Northern Cheyenne.
Oh, tight.
You like it?
Yeah, let me show them.
Okay.
Okay, this is part of what we've done today. This is Theta. Theta. She's Northern Cheyenne.
Reppin'. Hey.
Repping, that's pretty cool, and To those that don't know, this stands for the North Star. So that's what our northern people, our northern kinfolk, that's kind of what they represent. So, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. You did that all by yourself?
Sure did.
And I got to show the back.
Go ahead, show the back.
It was her. Is this the first or second one you made?
That was the second
one.
Yeah.
So, these ain't, that's pretty good. She came up with her own little design, her own little way of doing it. And, that's pretty good, so keep doing what you're doing. She said it matches her toenails, so I don't know what that means.
My toenails.
So,
Just a big toe.
her big toenail. But yeah, so that's just a little example of what we got to do with the kids this morning. Stacy, Misty Hickson, and Miss Leanne Thomas. Thank you for tuning in today. It's just me, only the lonely, and I got my nephew here. My nephew Aaron Sleeper. Would you like to say hello into the mic, Mr. Sleeper?
Hello.
Say with your chest.
Hello.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool. Aaron's kind of been coming out of his shell. He's one of our summer youth workers. So I enjoy, he's my nephew, I want every time I see him, I'm going to show him some love. So, feels pretty cool being able to work with my little nephew here. And he's not little. By no means is he little. How tall are you, Aaron?
6'6".
6'6". So you can probably pick me up and throw me around if you wanted to. I'm going to say I'm shooting for his favorite dunk, so hopefully he wouldn't do that to me. But, are you ready to do this reading?
Yeah.
And thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies, for tuning in with me. Sorry, we didn't get to do that this morning. But I thought it was important that, we do it. We just do it anyways. So go ahead, Mr. Sleeper. You guys speak into the mic and say it with your chest.
All right. My friends, how desperately do we need to be loved and to love? Chief Dan George
Skokomish.
Is that
Go
it?
ahead. No. Read the bottom part. You don't have to say, then there's a prayer in the corner. So after you read it through, then read the prayer.
Okay. My Creator, today I will love myself so I can love my neighbor. I will look at each person today and see your light within them. If I do this, I will hold my brothers and sisters without guilt.
What's the prayer?
I think that was the prayer.
Okay. I think understanding who I used to be, understanding how I was quick to judge, I was a fault finder. That's the easiest way to explain it, is that I was a fault finder. I look for the crack in everything. I look for the inconsistencies. I look for all the things that separated me from everybody else. I remember, I was quick to cast judgment, and only because I didn't know how to feel about myself. Only because I didn't understand how I perceive myself. And I was always, I was so quick, I was so quick to turn on somebody. I was so quick to not trust anybody. I was so quick to, I always just said, well, slippers count too, so you just charge it to the game. That was one of my favorite sayings is, slippers count too. And just charge it to the game. Almost like excusing what somebody did to me or what I did to somebody else. And it just, that's just the world that you live in. So, going through today and understanding like what serenity, acceptance, understanding like distinguishing the difference between addiction and recovery. Like that's where when I got to detox and I got to rehab, like that's where I started understanding like the difference between the two. Fear. Fear is a part of my addiction. Like I established that very early on. It was hard for me to admit that I was afraid. Then it makes sense because I look back and I understand why like I wanted people to fear me. Like I wanted people to just get out of my way. I wanted them to think I was crazy and didn't have a lick of sense. So don't mess with that guy. I'm never gonna pick the right thing to do. But then there was also a side of me where it was hard for me to like get over on people. Like I don't know if this makes sense, but I used to be like a drug dealer with a heart. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're having a hard time? Here's a little bit extra. Like like I don't know, like it just like there has always been this human side to me that where I had a lot of empathy for other people that were in the same boat as me. But then it was also easy for me to look down on these people. Like we're not the same. Like like oh, because I have the sack, I can talk down on you. You know what I mean? Or I got the drugs, you owe me money, so you're a sorry piece of, you know what I mean? Like it made no sense. You know what I mean? And so when you come into recovery, like there's a lot of people that are kind of, I wanted to know what other people that were around me felt about this situation because, you don't want to take no L. You're always trying to win, right? So, like it here I am going to advice from people that might have a few more days than me. You know what I mean? And I want them to make sense of a situation that doesn't need no explanation. We're all early in recovery. So as I got a little bit more into my recovery, but one of the things that I learned also early on is that you don't turn to somebody who does not have these spiritual values. You do not turn to somebody that are not practicing these principles in all their affairs. Like that's probably one of the places that I messed up. Like it would be like calling my mom and expecting her to give me the right answer about how to deal with other addicts. My mom's never, like she's had the problem, but she's never worked a program. You know what I mean? She sobered up because she got old. You know what I mean? Like it's that simple. Like I can't expect her to know, she's always going to tell me right from wrong, but she doesn't have these, these spiritual tools, these spiritual laws. She doesn't, like, and I love my mom, right? I'll always, like I always take everything she says to the heart. Like I'll always try to understand, where she's coming from. But, like she's just not a person I would call if I need somebody to help me make a tough decision or, like, but this is also what I think too, is like being the person that I used to be, bro, like being the person that I used to be, me being who I used to be, and I'm going to look down on somebody else today. Like there's no, like, I don't care how sober I've been. I don't care how long I've been sober. I know who I used to be. Like I have no business looking down on anybody else. Like there's, it just, how does that even begin? How does that even exist in a person's mind that like I like you must have completely forgot who you were. and where you came from. You know what I mean? For you to look down on another alcoholic or addict. And and then like, what about people that aren't in recovery? What about people that, have never practiced these principles at all? They don't understand what it is to have these spiritual values, these spiritual laws. They don't practice these principles. Like you can't really, like, okay, one day, back when I worked on the ranch, I'm running the skid steer, right? And I'm drilling a hole. I'm drilling a hole with the auger. And my brother's over here, and he's like telling me to come back forward. My cousin's over here. He's telling me to go this way. My other cousin's standing in front of me, and he's telling me to go this way. And I'm just sitting there like looking at all three of them. They're all three telling me to like go different ways. And I remember I just started screaming like, everybody get out the damn way. You know what I mean? Like just, and they all looked at each other and just kind of all like walked away because they knew I was pissed, right? But what I've been taught is that I can start my day over with when I have those types of moments. You know what I mean? Like I can say the serenity prayer. There's like, I can like, there's so many prayers that I can turn to through the big book that help me restart my day. But it seemed like it sucked because I could restart my day, but my brothers right here, none of them they've never been through that program. They don't know what it means to restart their day. You know what I mean? And I had to remember that. Like, that was a great reminder to me, like, okay, like life isn't just ice cream and rainbows. You know what I mean? Like, and for the people, that don't have these tools, man, it's got to be it's got to be a tough world. It's got to be a tough world. So, today, like, every man gets a fair shake in my books. Regardless of who you were, regardless of what you've done, like I said, everybody today gets a fair shake in my book. I'll come up, I'll show you, I'll treat you just like I treat everybody else, with love and respect. And the only way that I'm able to do that is because I love and respect myself today. That's the only, like it says, you can't give away what you don't have. Theta, can you go get a drink? Oh, they're hacking up that hairball. There's a water in the fridge. You get her water. But it's just and I'm not casting judgment. Yeah. I'm just worried about
I'm
you.
gonna eat this orange. I don't even know
But that's what it is today. I have love and respect for myself. And and I remember a time in my life where I couldn't forgive myself. I didn't have the tools to forgive myself. Nowadays, if y'all don't know what the set aside prayer is, look up that in the big book, look up the set aside prayer. Man, it's such a, like I love that prayer. It's about setting yourself to the side and allowing God to do what he needs to do in your life. And don't let me be anything more than a vessel of your knowledge. Let me be a vessel of your teachings. Let me be the vessel that this person needs to engage with, so that we can, switch some, we can teach each other some knowledge, because as between a sponsee and a sponsor, they both need each other. Even though the sponsor's got a little bit more time, he needs the sponsee as much as the sponsee needs a sponsor. You know what I mean? Like to me, that's the amazing thing about, recovery. And, it's just one of those things, like like, who am I to ever judge anybody? Man, like we were just talking about this earlier. Like, I know from everybody from here to Elk City to Woodward and back. You know what I mean? Like, know everybody and their dog, and I remember I used to have like some of the funniest, greatest conversations with our unhoused population here in El Reno. I used to talk to, I talked to all of them, Beaver Nuts, like there's a bunch of them, Thomas Yellow Eyes. I mean, I remember my uncle was part of it. My Uncle Crow, he ran around with them guys, and I just remember so many of them, like, they were humans too, and they had always been. I never thought less of them. I remember a time when anytime we went by 81 stop before, the store before you go out to Concho from El Reno, I would always tell the driver, like, pull over, pull over, pull over. And we would pull over there, there's an old Indian guy sitting outside, sitting on some crates. And I'd go over there and I'd give him, my ones. If I didn't have one, I'd give him a 5. And, and he would always, that's what he was waiting on. That's what he wanted. And I was always happy to do that to him. And I remember Larry, Uncle Larry, Uncle Larry's like, why do you do that every time we come by here? And, like this, and it was an honest answer, when he asked me that question. I said, because when I'm sitting over there, you better stop and give me a couple dollars. You know what I mean? Like that was honestly how I felt, I never thought that I was too far away from becoming that person. And, luckily today, understanding this disease, understanding how demented, how twisted my thinking used to be, and it's always so easy for me to revert back to that. You know what I mean? Like I like to tease, I like to clown, and, like that part of me comes out then, when I feel like I'm making a joke. But, when it comes to this disease and it comes to our people looking for a way out, I take it very, very seriously. And, I enjoy talking to people that are trying to think about coming into recovery. I enjoy like speaking with them people that just have a day or two, because to me, it's just as important to want to know what changed their mind and what made them want different and what had to happen for them to want this life. Right. And, those are my people. That's who I love to engage with. That's who I love to spark a conversation with. It's just, you understand that this isn't just a native problem, it's a human problem. And so, I've been very fortunate to be, a peer recovery support specialist. When I first wanted to get into this, into this field, it was in California. You can become a registered alcohol and drug technician, and you basically are cleaning up at a detox or a rehab in California. Everybody gets their rad tea out there, and I got very fortunate, and I got to go work at a detox with only 4 months of sobriety. With only 4 months of sobriety. On every other application, it said you needed a year. But I had 4 months of sobriety, and I got to go work at the Rock Center. And I felt very, like it was just, I don't know, like it was an amazing experience. I was the cook on 2 days, and then, for 3 days. And then on the weekends, I was the weekend overnight person. So, I felt like it did me a lot of good, just, like I got to get my feet wet, like I got to kind of pursue a dream of mine. My dream was to get sober in California, then to come home and help my people, so, we see all walks of life. We see, all kinds of situations, that our people are trying to get away from. And then again, we see the same situation that they got to come back to. So I mean, we never cast any judgment. Like there's only like really been like one person who made me upset, and it had nothing really to do, it had more to do with harm reduction supplies, and she was like messaging me like demanding that I come and get her some harm reduction supplies, and I'm just like what, like you're like, she's like, what kind of program are you running, like kind of questioning like how we help people. And I don't know, like that's probably the only thing that's ever really bothered me, like. But I mean, other than that, though, man, like I've had some great experiences. I enjoy helping my people. I enjoy what I do. Like it's a dream job. Because if anything, like I don't feel like I have control of what happens to a person. I like to pray for people. I like to consult the Creator about a lot of the decisions that I make today. Because like I was telling my boy Chad earlier, like there's some situations I have no business making, whether things are right or wrong, right? Like I have no business trying to figure those things out. So what do is I turn to the Creator, and he hasn't led me astray yet. So do we have any comments, Mr. Sleeper? You can start from the beginning, like go all the way up to the top and just start reading them all down.
Leanna Thomas said hi Theta. Natalie Harjo said scuffed up big white big toenail. Leanna Thomas.
Yeah.
Barry, you are chopped liver. Well, just kidding. Misty Hickson.
Who said that?
Sing us a song, Theta. Hey. That was Leanna Thomas.
Oh, she would say that.
Natalie Harjo, get Theta on there.
She don't want to come on because she keeps hacking up a hairball.
David Deere, good afternoon.
Don't go, David.
Sunny Nightwalker, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sonny.
Natalie Harjo, I keep coughing.
Finally, stop.
Natalie Harjo, Thea Flocka Moreno should come to Sweat last night and get it out.
I know, right? I told her to come out there to help her.
Rossi Harjo Sr., not HK Low. Leslie Short Teeth, good morning, big brother.
Good morning, sis.
Anna Gibbons, good afternoon.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Anna.
Melissa Pedro, God helps those that help themselves too. We can only offer guidance. No one make anyone do what they are not quite prepared for. You are doing great, Barry. I'm super proud of you.
Aho, dear babe.
Mary Beaver said, hello, Tor.
Hello, Mary. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Was that it?
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate everybody that tuned in today. Sorry we didn't get to do that this morning. We will be on tomorrow. What are we doing tomorrow? Are they all gone?
Yeah, they all gone.
Oh, hell with them. Well, tomorrow I believe we will be doing no, that'll be Friday is Family Wellness. So we should be here tomorrow. Wait, yeah, tomorrow is Friday. I keep thinking it's Wednesday, bro. So tomorrow, everybody will be at Family Wellness. I just got a few hours to come in for, so I'll probably come in and do this again. So, but yeah, we might be coming live from Clinton. I don't know, or more than likely, either way, it's going down. So, thank you everybody for tuning in today. Once again, we apologize that we didn't get to do this earlier. I tried, but it just didn't work out. But thank you, my nephew, baby Aaron Sleeper. The 6'6" big baby. But what was you gonna say? But yeah. But like, share, follow, tell your mammy about us, and we will see you tomorrow. I hope.